Jesus freak here. Now, before I go on anywhere with this video, I have to give a disclaimer because Bibles you're about to see are not KJV and they're not even Protestant. I don't want anyone thinking that because I have Eastern Orthodox, or as I say, Church of the East, because they're not Orthodox, because I have Eastern Bibles, that does not mean that I support their heresies. Anyway, I'm going to get into this one first because this is the earlier edition, the one that my dad gave me, which was produced, I believe, in '93. This is only the New Testament and Psalms. This is called the Orthodox Study Bible. Now, this early version is a reference Bible. Typical Thomas Nelson layout. And it's strictly NKJV. The annotations which it has have a distinctly Eastern bent. Now, over the years, the Orthodox Study Bible got some significant reworking, and the organization behind it. Remember, the Eastern churches use the Septuagint. They don't use the Masoretic Hebrew, so they can't use the NKJV Old Testament. So they had to produce, they could use the New Testament and opted to do so. But they needed an Old Testament that would go with the NKJV New Testament, but was conformed to their Old Testament text, not to ours. This doesn't only mean the fact that there are several apocryphal books interleaved into their canon. It also means they had to translate it from scratch, from Greek, rather than from Hebrew. So, over the next, 15 years, they worked on a new translation, and they released it under copyright terms basically the same as the New King James. They did what Catholic Bibles, Church of Rome Bibles do, and interleaved their Deuterocanon into the Old Testament. However, they changed the orders of the books around a little bit. They put Psalms before Job instead of after. They put the minor prophets before the major prophets instead of after. So their Old Testament here ends not with Malachi, but with Daniel. This version is no longer a reference Bible, which is to say it no longer has cross-references. just like with the old version, it still has the Eastern iconography every so often. I believe they may have rewritten most or all of the notes. This is definitely a significant reworking. And of course, they added the full Old Testament. Some things to keep in mind. The Psalms are in a different order. Well, they're not different order, they're numbered differently. Jeremiah is significantly different in how it's cut up. And shorter. Job features a new epilogue that's not found in Hebrew. Which attempts to provide some tradition as to who the titular Job and his friends were. There seems to be some inconsistency in how they handle various names in the Old Testament. Most of the time they use the common English forms, but there are some places in Psalms where in ascriptions that are exclusive to the Greek text, this is actually true of the Latin text too. The Latin Psalter is translated from Greek. But they spell some of the names according to the Greek forms. So, instead of Haggai and Zechariah, there's a couple references to Aggeus and Zacharias, which is inconsistent. Now, obviously, the notes are going to have an Eastern bent. They claim to be the original church, which honestly they do have a claim to. And it's better than the Church of Rome's claim. As we know, the Church of Rome and the Eastern Church were united right up until the Church of Rome decided to add a couple of words to the Nicene Creed. Although they were starting to fall apart very slowly at the time because the Church of Rome was trying to claim that the Bishop of Rome was the head of the church. You and I know the head of the church is Christ, but that's how they come up with that whole vicar of Christ, or substitute Christ thing. There are places where I would agree with the Eastern churches over the Church of Rome. In fact, I've heard that when Jan Hus was declared a heretic, it wasn't for believing things we'd call Protestantism. They thought he had gone Eastern Orthodox. Jan Hus is Janhus. But I'm not interested in notes. See, I got this because of the unique translation of the Old Testament, which is designed to slip in for a comparison with the New King James, but is translated from Greek. Obviously, it has the differences you would expect of a translation based on Greek instead of Hebrew. For example, this reading in Deuteronomy 32:8, where you're going to find pretty much every translation is going to say, when and the Most High divided the nation, and when he scattered the sons of man, he set the boundaries of the nations according to the number of the children of Israel. And there's actually manuscript support for the Greek reading here to some extent, although the Greek reading is very paraphrastic. It comes from a different Hebrew text, which is very true of much of the Septuagint. It's based on a different Hebrew text than the Masoretic, as opposed to the Vulgate, which is based on a Hebrew text very close to the Masoretic. Here it says, when the Most High divided the nations, when he scattered the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the nation by the number of God's angels. And we have manuscript evidence that suggests that at least some Hebrew manuscripts did exist that here they would have said he set the boundaries of the nation according to the number of the sons of God. So you can see where, they didn't pull these readings out of thin air, which people thought in the past that they did. There are many faults in the Septuagint. It's not the best translation from Hebrew to Greek. And it's not the translation of the standard text from Hebrew to Greek. So that has to be considered. This translation is a good way to be able to compare a translation from the Masoretic, such as the NKJV or such as the KJV. NKJV is better for this particular purpose because they're intentionally designed to be similar in style. And a translation from the Greek. This way, you can look side by side. And compare the two. That's the usefulness of this translation and why I got this Bible. As a further aside, my father used to belong to the same faith tradition I do. He now belongs to the Antiochian Orthodox Church. And I would like to ask for a little support and prayer that maybe he'll realize that the Eastern churches are corrupt and come to a true understanding of Scripture. He's in his 80s, he can't have that much time left. So I really hope and pray that he's able to return to the truth before it's too late. Jesus freak out.